Hey, Jim Watson, mayor of Ottawa, you got 7.5 hours of live. It might have been 8 hours. It was 8 hours of live stream footage to go look for your racist, sexist, homophobic provocation that you were warning people about. Warning in advance. We've entered Minority Report, people. Not only can the government read minds and attribute the illest of intentions, and I mean ill as in bad and not ill as in like, cool. Oh, that's an ill beat. They attribute the illest of intentions to everyone who disagrees with them, but they've gone beyond doing that. They've gone to predicting the illest of intentions. Like, they've gone to, no, that's not what I want. I want to share it. They've gone to Minority Report prediction of the illest phobes and isms you can imagine before it even happens, based on a fabricated, dishonest lie of it having happened in the past. And for anybody who might have any doubts, I mean, this is a clip. So if you want to say, it's a clip out of context, go to Rebel News, find the original tweet. It's 2.5 minutes that I don't want to bore you with, because all that really matters is this gem of stupidity, and a gem of stupidity predicting future crimes based on fabricated past crimes. Listen to Jim. Listen to this guy. It would be funny if it were a Saturday Night Live skit. This actually would be funnier as a Saturday Night Live skit than Saturday Night Live itself. But this is not a skit. This is not fake. This is reality. This is the pedigree of the elected officials currently running things. Listen to this crap.
So we're asking those individuals who have the right to freely come into our city to be respectful of both our residents and our businesses and our infrastructure, and not to provoke some of the kind of racist, sexist, homophobic nonsense that we saw with the truckers' convoy a few months ago.
He couldn't even get the verbal diarrhea out of his mouth. He couldn't even get it out almost with a straight face. This is the mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson. Respect our infrastructure. Respect our infrastructure as though this buffoon who purports to be an elected official, who purports to represent people, as though he's suggesting that in the 3 weeks of the Ottawa protest, the protesters did not respect the infrastructure. Jim Watson, I've got 40 hours of live stream from that protest as a documentarian, because I heard the same crap that you were spewing now. I heard it back then. Racism, transphobia, homophobia, anti-Semitism. I didn't realize I was in danger for 3 weeks, Jim. You should have told me earlier. I wouldn't have gone down. I felt so threatened myself. I've got 40 hours of live documentation, documentarianism, whatever, of the protest in Ottawa, Jim. Not only were the people respecting the infrastructure, they were actually treating it better than your own Ottawa police and Ottawa city workers. They were shoveling the cenotaph. They were salting the streets. I literally commented on this because they were shoveling the streets in front of Parliament. Yes, true. They were on those streets, so maybe the city workers couldn't get there. But if you allude to the idea that you can go protest as you're within your rights, but respect the infrastructure, you are suggesting that in the past, the infrastructure had not been respected by ralliers, protesters, whatever you want to call them. 40 hours, dude. 40 hours, and there was salting, shoveling, 24/7 surveillance of the cenotaph. They were helping people. They were feeding the homeless. Better than I saw the homeless getting fed when I was there on the weekend, Jim. But no, you say, we don't want to see you provoking any. Provoking? How do you provoke racism? Acts of racism? How do you provoke acts of homophobia? Are you suggesting that anybody who commits that type of act would have been provoked by the ralliers? Like, they go around and saying, hey, dude, it'd be really cool if you act homophobic. That would be awesome. That's what we're here for. The rally, the Rolling Thunder participants, they're there to get people to do racism. Yeah, Jim, you got it all figured out. But when you have your elected officials spouting this type of, it's absurd conspiracy theory imaginings. When you have your elected officials, Justin Trudeau, coming out, I saw racism, transphobia, homophobia on display. When you have your elected officials from the top down coming out and spewing this nonsense, what do you think happens? Do you think some people believe it? Do you think some people who, like what was his name? Igor from Top Secret? No, it was Hans. He believes everything he reads in the New York Post. You think some people out there who only read the CBC and who only follow your idiotic Twitter gibberish, Jim Watson, you think some of them might believe it? You think some of them might be motivated to act based on your characterizing of peaceful protesters as whatever ist and phobe you can imagine? Do you think it might motivate people? Do you think it might give people the requisite political permission slip to carry out certain acts of in their minds, justice against those who are fascists, racists? Do you think, Jim? Do you think, Justin, that might happen? Don't think much longer. Here it is, people. Here it is. Hard evidence that when your leaders spout rubbish, people are going to follow. Now, I will add the caveat. It's possible this incident is a hoax. We've seen it before, and we can't pretend it's not within the realm of possibility. There have been people spray painting synagogues with swastikas, and we find out it was actually a hoax. What else? I mean, we had a number of incidents that turned out to be outright hoaxes. Then you had some incidents which actually turned out to be totally unrelated. I think it was Philadelphia. A bunch of tombstones in a Jewish cemetery fell over, and people immediately rushed to vandalism. Hate-inspired vandalism, and it turned out they fell over because of softening of the earth and high winds, and it was totally natural. But in this case, Jim, I wonder who could have motivated someone to vandalize a church. Because for those of you who don't know, what was referred to as the biker church, where the bikers were meeting or parking in advance of the rally, it had been vandalized. Wait until you hear how they characterize the vandalism. Demonize everyone who disagrees with as whatever phobe or ism you can think of. Anything becomes justified. Now, I know what's going to happen as I bring this up. It's not going to bring up the article. So let me just go back here, cut. Let's just go to this article. Let's just go to this article, people, and just see how they're describing it. Police investigating hate-motivated mischief. Hate-motivated mischief. I hate playing the game. Imagine if this had been a synagogue. Imagine if this had been a mosque. Imagine if this had been a homeless shelter, or imagine if this had been an LGBTQ community event or something. I hate to play that game. They're calling the vandalism, for those who can't see it, it said, that's interesting, I can't see it from the, hold on. It said no home for fascists, I believe. No home for fascists or fascism. Can't tell. They're calling it hate-motivated mischief. If this were any other entity, any other religious institution other than a church, this would have been front page news hate crime. We don't tolerate hate and division in this country, right, Justin and Jim? Unless it comes from your mouths. Police investigating hate-motivated mischief. Oh, and by the way, if it's mischief, they better get locked away for 2+ months. They better find the people who did this and put them in jail for months. No bail. And by the way, I'm not actually saying that seriously. Even if they find the person who did this, they should not be locked up in jail the way Pat King is still locked up in jail. The way Tamara Litch was locked up in jail on mischief charges. They should have their day in court, and they should be released pending their trial once they're found. Ottawa police say they are investigating an incident of hate-motivated mischief. Don't call it a hate crime, because that's what you would do if it were another entity that had been attacked. It's just mischief, people. It's hate-motivated mischief. Never mind. At the Vanier Church, discovered 3 hours before a service was held as part of the Rolling Thunder bike rally. Police received a call about the incident at the Capital Bikers Church on Carillon Street just before 7 a.m. CTV News. Come on, get out of here. Where am I? Okay, I don't think we care to. CTV News Ottawa's Colton Prale reported thumbtacks were strewn across the ground in the church's alley. It's not going to do much to a wheel, people. And someone spray painted "No Haven for Fascism" on its walls. Where could they possibly have been motivated to think that a Rolling Thunder rally to actually pay tribute to the Cenotaph War Memorial by veterans for fallen veterans, where could they have been misled, indoctrinated, radicalized to believe that that had anything to do with fascism? Where? I don't know. I don't know, Jim. I don't know, Justin. It's weird. Like, you know, when you're forewarning about imminent acts of racism, homophobia, and what was the other one? Sexism. I mean, geez, who can be blamed? Whatever. That's it. I'll clip the article. You can go read it. You can just follow me on Twitter. And it's extremely insulting, Kimberly McGrath told the Canadian Press. I had to let it brush off my shoulders, but for a lot, it is traumatizing and it's hurtful. Worshippers and Rolling Thunder supporters packed the church for the Bikers Church service Sunday morning, the final scheduled event of the weekend. I wonder why there have been a spate of church burnings in Canada. I wonder who could have possibly been misled, indoctrinated, radicalized to think that the Rolling Thunder rally had anything to do with fascism. And the ultimate, I mean, it's just, I know we're living in bizarro universe, bizarro times. Who could not see the irony in spray painting on a church, "No home for fascism"? Who could not see the irony that maybe in some realm of, you know, an accurate reality, spray painting on a church is the act of fascism? I mean, the fascists, literally engaged in what became known as Kristallnacht. You know, breaking windows of synagogues. That's how you fight fascism, people. You become the fascist by spray painting on a church, "No home for fascists." But you got Justin Trudeau's blessing. You got Jim, what's his name now? I forgot. Jim Watson's blessing. It's funny how these things happen. It's almost like there's a cause and an effect between vitriol coming from the elected officials and people who listen to that garbage and their state-sponsored propaganda from the CTV, CBC, Global News, Radio-Canada, you name it. That feels good. Okay, I feel better now. And Good Times Music, welcome to the channel.